Alright guys, this is a video. I'm going to show you just this defensive round on Eichenwald, where I was supremely aggressive and didn't die one time, and it was all due to key positioning. Alright, so here we notice the diva. The hog used his hook earlier, and I noticed that, so I knew it was on cooldown. Watch how I use the car. Up and down over the car, over and over again. Also notice how when Diva got out of mech, I didn't engage to kill her because my health was low. I simply backed up to run for cover to set up shield gen because I knew my team was jam-packed around me and they would be able to handle the Diva. She wouldn't be able to kill me. Okay, it's things like that that can change the course of a game, you know, because what do you know, you may try to attack her and die, and now your team's down 5-6, and here they are spawning back and they rush the point. Okay, so watch how I go in and out here. Use the shield and hug the corners. Okay, notice she got hooked, so I supplement my hooks, my tank's damage. Now watch this. I wanted to kill the Genji, so I used my shield to, you know, engage them, and I noticed that they started resin the soldier. The key thing you need to think when you're running into situations like that is, can I kill this Genji and not die? Well, the answer was no, so I ran back for cover. You got to learn when to tone down your aggressiveness. Okay. So I know that they're running right into my turrets that I set right side because I use the zoning technique with my turrets. Notice how the Diva dove over me to the point and I didn't engage the Diva. I let her engage my team, and I let my team deal with that. That's their job. The Diva's diving the point. When she's diving, when the enemy team's mobile tanks are diving, understand that your enemy team's backline is going to follow up on that. So use that against them. As Diva was diving, I let her dive, and I ran directly into the soldier who had no tank presence anymore because she's diving, and he's trying to follow up on that damage. Okay. So they're running into my zone turrets over here again. Watch how I use this car or whatever it is for cover. You see how I shielded off against the Roadhog? Also notice how I rotate around to attack the backline as again the tank tries to push forward, so that gives you opportunity to hit up the backline. Just rewind the tape and rewatch these things as they unfold, because it's so much for me to explain that I just can't get it while it's going. So just rewind and rewatch it. But notice how the tank engaged our team on the point. So instead of me running back with my team, I understood that I could rotate around and hit up the back line, because they're not going to expect a sim to hit up your back line as their tank is pushing forward. Now I'm attacking the shield with my orbs, punishing the Orisa. Watch as I go for cover, I throw shield to take minimum damage. Now here I want to set up turrets because there's 20 seconds left. I wanted my team to group up here so we can attack them as the turrets are doing damage on them. Unfortunately, my team did not, you know, take upon my message. They want to stay back with the point, which is fine, but that made my 3 turrets there useless. So I come back with the team, and I don't know why the film cut out short there, but I guess I stopped recording at that point. But if you rewatch the video, you will notice a lot of different things. Did you notice, was I passive in that game at all? Absolutely not. Was I a little bit aggressive or extremely aggressive? I was extremely aggressive, right? Now, a lot of people tie in extreme aggressiveness with a lot of deaths, and that is not true. When you have to know when you can utilize your aggression to the extreme without dying. When you notice that you are able to do that to a particular team comp or a particular team, then you should do it, because you can pretty much just carry your team. Now, granted, my team was pretty good, so I mean, it wasn't like I did it all on my own, but it was just that the enemy team pretty much had zero chance. I think we had like 5 team engagements there, and they had no chance in every single one of those engagements. In the very first engagement, I think they got an early pick on our tank, and it didn't matter. Because as you notice, I think if you rewind it, I think they had a early pick on our Roadhog or something. I think he got hooked onto their side of the choke, and he died. So, of course, when they understand that it's 5-on-6, they understand, okay, it's time to get real aggressive. Let's push. So that was when I was utilizing the vehicle as cover as I was ramping up my energy on my gun to get 3 kills there. I think I killed the Lucio, the Roadhog, and the Diva with, supplemental damage from my team, of course. And then the Diva was out of mech, and I didn't engage her because I understood that, hey, it's 5-on-3 now, because their Lucio's down, their Hog is down. Actually, 5-on-4? Because our Hog is down, but their Hog and their Lucio is down, and now Diva's out of mech. So that essentially makes it 5-on-3. I understood then, and I did not have to engage the Diva. I probably would have died because my health was really low. So I hugged the corner to turn and place down shield gen, okay, which gave me an extra 75 health, and Diva would have to run through my team and more damage to kill me, which she couldn't. Also, when I was running for cover in that engagement, you notice that I was getting healed. That's another advantage to running for cover, because your ally healer or healers, so to speak, should be positioned in your backline. So when you're running for cover, they should be healing you. Okay? So it's with that understanding I was able to survive that initial engagement. Okay? But I was being very aggressive. And you notice we turned a 5v6 into a full hold, and they couldn't get anything on the point. And we were able to set up for the next engagement. Okay, I'm trying to think of another engagement that transpired on that map. Notice when Diva, okay, I'll go over it one more time. When Diva dove over me to hit up the point, a lot of people make the mistake of turning around and running towards the Diva to help out your team and doing damage on the Diva. You don't need to do that. You're actually compromising the your defensive presence in a lot of different ways, okay? Because when she dives on your team, think of everything as in numbers, okay? 6v6, 5v5, 4v4. Think of it that way, okay? When Diva dives on your team on the point, what is it? It's 5 versus 1, your team versus her, not including you. Do they really need a 6v1 to finish off the Diva? No, they don't. They don't need you. So when she dives directly over you, you can ignore that and utilize her leaving her middle line and back line to punish her back line or middle line. So when she dove over, I understood, you should understand that when teams have a Diva or a Winston and they both dive, you should understand that their middle line and back line are extremely exposed to brawling attacks, okay? Guys like Doomfist, Sim, trying to think of another brawler, Reaper, those guys, because they're not expecting an attack, because they're thinking about attack. They see their Diva and Winston diving, so they want to supplement their tank's damage. They want to push forward with them. They're not thinking about getting ambushed. That's the last thing on their mind. If you rewind and looked at that clip, when Diva dove and I just ignored her and ran forward, you will notice that the soldier was completely surprised. You can tell by the way he was moving. He was running forward to supplement his Diva's damage, running right into a Sim. Now, I did make the mistake in that instance. I should have charged up my orb the second she dove over so I can use it to hit whatever I would run into, and that would have killed him faster. Okay, it was only the armor, the Torb, and my shield gen that kept me alive. Actually, if I would have just had shield gen, I still would have stayed alive. That's another thing. You can be more aggressive when you have shield gen as well. Okay. Another engagement was when the Hog, when he was on that same side and he ulted. You notice when it pushed me back, always throw your shield once you get pushed back to block the damage that he's throwing at you. Notice that I saw that when he saw that he couldn't kill me, he turned his ult towards the point and it started pushing towards the point. Okay, so what did we go over just now? We went over the fact that when the enemy team's frontline tanks push forward, their middle line and back line are both going to push forward as well. Okay, so when he pushed forward, who was exposed on their team? Well, their back line is the most exposed, followed up by their midline. So instead of me backing up to play with my team, I understood that the numbers dictated that it would be, what, 5-on-1 against the tank pushing forward. They don't necessarily need me there to help them out. If we get wiped, we would have got wiped whether I was there or not. Okay, so he pushed forward. Instead of me backing up with my team, I utilized the fact that the knowledge of knowing that the back line was exposed to attack to rotate around and try to kill, a Mercy, a Anna, a Zen, or whatever. I think I recall seeing a Junkrat, and he was rotating through the room to hit up our back line. I just couldn't get to him. So instead of me chasing the Junkrat, I focused my issues on my attack on the Mercy. Also notice when I used my primary fire, I started gripping on the Diva. Instead of me trying to finish the Diva, I took that primary fire off and I rotated it over to the Mercy because she's more important to kill than the tank. Okay, you kill the Mercy, now they have no sustain whatsoever. And then you can kill the Diva. So a lot of times I will grip on a tank to ramp up the damage and take my primary fire off the tank to hit up the squishies around them. Okay, because then think about it this way. If you run into the unfortunate scenario in which you're fighting up against a tank and a squishy at the same time, okay, well, why just grip on the tank and try to hold on for dear life and try to kill it? It's not going to happen because it's 2-on-1. They're going to end up killing you. If you're going to die, at least try to take somebody with you. So I'll grip on the tank to ramp up the damage and use my movement to stay alive as long as possible, and then I will take that primary fire off to take care of the squishy. Okay, because you at level 3 damage on your primary is 120 per second, so it'll only take you maybe a second and a half to kill a squishy at full damage. Okay, so trying to think of another engagement that transpired on that map. I believe there was 2 other engagements that I really don't recall specifically, but in each and every instance I recall positioning being the prime factor and me being very efficient there. You notice I didn't die not one time, but I was very aggressive. Okay, a lot of people say that, if you don't die one time, it's either because the team is really, really bad or because you were just really passive. A lot of guys probably will think that. However, we just showcased in that instance. Now, we don't know if the enemy team wasn't just pretty bad, but I tend to disagree with that because if we're all in the same rank, they were good enough to get there. I just don't believe in the enemy team just being bad. You know what I mean? I never understood that logic and thinking. If we're in the top 500 playing against other top 500s, how are they bad? Or you may have guys pissed off at you because you play sim and you're in the top 500, and they'll say something like, "Oh man, you're trash, you're bad." Like, I don't understand. They're like, how? Like, okay, well, why am I here? Why am I in top 500? They'll come up with lame excuses. Oh, you somebody boosted you up or whatever. No, I solo queued, bro. I got here by myself. Attack and defensive sim. Like, I'm not terrible. Maybe I had a bad game. Maybe the guy you're thinking about had a bad game. It could be a variety of different factors, but I just don't think that way. You just look at things that you record and find things that worked and try to understand why did it work, okay? Now, I want you to understand when you're going up against dive and you're defending against dive, what's the weakness of a dive? Now, if they're running a team composition that consists of something like Diva, Winston, okay, and then their middle line is something like Tracer and Genji, but they don't complement their dive very well. Maybe they run like an Anna and a Zen. Well, what's the weakness of that comp? Well, the strength is actually mobility with their front middle line. But what's the weakness when the front line and middle line decides to wreak havoc and push hard? Well, the weakness of that is the backline, because the backline has no mobility to follow up with their mobility. So when they push forward, their Zen and Ana are by themselves way in the back. They are susceptible to heavy attack. If you were to dive them in the process, or have like a Reaper or something, or Reaper would be perfect to use his I don't know what you call that the thing he has on cooldown, not Wraith form, but the other form, to somehow get behind the enemy team and attack when the D.Va, Winston, Tracer, and Genji light off to go hit up your ally team. He would be able to take care of the Ana and the Zen pretty well if he utilized positioning pretty good. At least get one of them, and then just Wraith back to his team. Okay, now if they were to use something like a Mercy and Lucio, well, now they're complementing their team very well. Now that they eliminated that weakness, because now they have mobile characters for the backline. So when D.Va and Winston dives, Lucio and Mercy can go ahead and dive in with them. So now you have they don't have a weakness that you can exploit in that regard. Okay, that's why you need to understand the weaknesses and strengths of your enemy team composition, so you know what to exploit and what to attack. Okay, so you need to understand when the enemy team has a chink in their armor. If there's one stubborn guy on their team who realizes that his team is running a pure dive and he still wants to sit on Ana, you need to punish that Ana player every time that they dive. Don't send your entire team at the Ana. You just need one guy to take care of them. Then 6-on-5. Okay. But I'm rambling on and on. But this video is just to show you the different things when it comes to playing aggressive. You need to have a keen understanding on positioning. Okay. That's not to say I didn't make mistakes in the video you just watched. Like, for instance, I used my shield way too early in the very first engagement at the choke. I threw it down the chokehold way too early. There was no damage really to block with D.Va and Hog there. Okay, I could have saved it for later when the Hog hooked and got our Hog. Okay, so that was a mistake there. That's something you need to find, the mistakes and the things you did right, and try to get better with those. Okay, so with that would be my first video on positioning. I plan on making more, but I think positioning is probably a very big topic. After talking with one of my guys, the guys he's a pretty good sim, and he says that he implies that positioning is probably very important, and he's right. So I just wanted to show a video on that, and I plan on doing more. So keep simming and keep getting better.